When you have high standards and fancy all the fancy things, like a Dior saddlebag or that diamond tennis bracelet, you go to eBay. There, you'll find new loves that will never disappoint. Expertly authenticated. Whether it's that vintage pearl necklace or brand new ruby earrings, a Prada crossbody bag, or classic watches like that Rolex Oyster or that Cartier tank. On eBay, there are no limits to your high standards. Yeah, eBay. The place for new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion. eBay. Things people love.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need, have coverage options to protect the things you value most, file a claim right on the State Farm mobile app, and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Good Follow, presented by DraftKings. I'm Roz Goldon-Woode. That's our girl, Logan Hackett, my faithful, amazing co-host. And Logan, we have someone special joining us today.
We do. The funniest person on the planet. Every time her name comes up, I'm like, that is the funniest person I know.
She is a hoot. Our girl, Lucy Rohden, joins us from the Meadowlark family. I know a lot of you may already know her from the Dan Le Batard show, Wave Sports, off-roading. But I think most importantly, she's known for her fit checks, right, Lucy?
Oh, you guys don't even understand this. We were supposed to start 15 minutes ago, but I've been talking about Betsy Johnson nonstop that I've pretty much ruined the whole production schedule.
Well, this is a show taped right after the Met Gala. There's tons of fashion in this show and updates. You're the perfect person to break down all the accessories and all the things with us. We're so excited to have you on. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks, guys.
Yes, we love having a bunch of voices and different faces giving their opinions throughout women's sports. And let me take you through what we're talking about today. We've got a nice show, and here's the lineup for the day. The WNBA preseason has begun. We are breaking down early game action, and we're checking in on our rookies. How are the rookies doing? MVP odds are in. It's Asia, it's Caitlin, it's Fee, it's Stewie. Oh my. And I've got a question. Are the Fever a super team? Asia Wilson dropped her A1 sneaker. Guess what? They sold out. We'll be talking about that, and we'll end with some fun. The Met Gala just happened, and the sports girlies, they delivered. They served on the carpet. So we will be breaking down some of those fashion looks.
Well, as always, thank you for subscribing, commenting, liking, following our socials, clicking all the buttons, and don't forget, new episodes drop every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, so be the first to click, please and thank you. Are y'all ready for the show?
I'm ready to go.
Very ready.
Do it. Okay, well, the WNBA preseason has gotten underway and it has been dramatic, but the Fever had a dominating game against Brazil that brought in 1.3 million viewers. Absolutely insane. This means that the game was watched more than any NBA preseason game since 2018. But the Fever are 2-0 to start the preseason, and their roster is absolutely crazy on paper and on the court. Their starters are Caitlin Clark, Duana Bonner, Natasha Howard, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and then their bench is Sophie Cunningham, who is the face of all the drama, and then Lexi Hall and Sydney Colson. So watching them play was actually nuts, especially against Brazil. But do we think it is too soon to call them a super team?
I don't think it's too soon to have these types of conversations. For me, I'm not going to say they're a full out super team. I'm going to say they're a hybrid super team, because they did organically draft players to their organization over the years. I mean, so their big three all came organically through the draft. 2018, the number 2 pick was Kelsey Mitchell. In 2023, the number 1 pick was Aaliyah Boston. In 2024, the number 1 pick was Caitlin Clark. So that's organic. Even though they're all studs and amazing and stars, that's organic. But where we get into super team territory is that in free agency, they loaded up on all-stars, champions, and added all of this talent that they've now got to mesh quickly and make work with the goal of like, we want to win a championship now. We said that was a super team for the New York Liberty. So I do think we have to utilize that same definition when we're talking about the Indiana Fever. So for that reason, for those two reasons, I will say it's a hybrid super team.
That's a fair assessment. First, quick shout out. That was at my alma mater, University of Iowa. Sold out that game. Average ticket price was $640.
Damn.
They love women's basketball in Iowa City. Even after Caitlin left, they sold out every game last season. So I'm very proud of all of us. And I have loved what the W has done with having games at Notre Dame, at Iowa, at LSU in the preseason. It is just like the perfect way to engage fans, to like get the energy hype, even though it is a preseason game. So just shout out to the W for that.
Yeah.
As for the Fever being a super team, it feels like super team feels just like a little bit of a stretch for me right now. I feel like they're the next level below that. Obviously, their big three is insane. I think they're just like a really good team. And what I love is that everything the Fever needed, they went and they got in free agency. They were so smart about picking and choosing the right pieces, where when during that Indiana-Brazil game, Kelsey Mitchell did an in-game interview just talking about her decision to come back to the Fever was based on the fact that like she really feels like the energy is different now. Like people want to win. Adding those leaders with Coulson and DeWanna Bonner, like it makes me excited because I really think that the Fever have done I think they had the best free agency out of anybody, just the way they've put pieces together. So I'm not going to go full super team. I'm just going to go really great core that has added perfect complementary pieces, which is what makes good basketball teams.
I feel like we're saying the same thing, Lucy. Like, are we kind of like saying similar hybrid?
We're like, especially with like Roz, your point was so great that like you didn't go out in free agency and get your big three. You had already built that. That is that just makes me excited because that's how you build a franchise. You know, that is the key to having long-term success. And the Fever have done that.
Yeah.
And it was dark times. We know.
And, I thought you brought up a really good point about the league, the WNBA, putting some of these preseason games, where former star players played their collegiate games. And, people are hard on the WNBA sometimes about their marketing. And there have certainly been areas where you're like, they could have handled that better. But there's been a few things that I've really liked early on, whether it is, for me, I like rivalry week. I think there's some stickiness to it. I think there's some urgency to it. The Commissioner's Cup a couple years ago, you're adding more ways to follow the season. And now I think like having these preseason games at college universities also kind of closes that gap between college fandom and WNBA fandom and helps there be more of a carryover, which in past years and decades, sometimes it didn't cross over. And so that's also star power, but also deliberate tactics like this. So a shout out to the league.
Yeah, it makes everything so much more accessible too, where when you're in an Iowa or Louisiana, you might not have close access to go see your favorite W team during the regular season. But to have the ability to have these all-stars coming to Iowa City and Baton Rouge and South Bend, it's like a smart play for right now, but it's a brilliant play for the future. You're building these seeds right now by making things accessible, which once again, shout out to the W for having all these preseason games. You're able to watch them all on ESPN or the W app. Like, it's just, sometimes it feels so ridiculous where you're just like no, you need things to be accessible. Like, it's all about accessibility.
Well, could you imagine if they didn't put this preseason game on, that 1.3 million people wouldn't have showed up to watch? But because the league said, we're going to put the preseason games on, there's a demand. You got 1.3 people tuning in. Of course, a lot of that has to do with Caitlin Clark and the Fever and the fandom there, but that just only continues to grow the game.
Yeah, rising tides lift all boats. Like, That's exactly what it is. Sometimes it just feels so simple that you're like, why haven't you thought of this before? Like, you should have figured this out.
When it comes to super teams, y'all had this same answer, but I'm actually going to go with no, only because I want to see them play the Liberty, the Lynx, and the Aces. And we have to keep in mind that, okay, it is preseason, but they just played the Mystics and they went to overtime. So I'm chilling here until now, but I really like y'all's takes, and I really think I would be on that side. But I'm keen to see that. But after the game, Stephanie White was asked about Caitlin Clark and her logo threes because she launched one from beyond her own logo which is just a crazy sentence in general. But she said nobody tells Steph Curry not to take good shots. So Rose, what do you think of this response?
I liked it. I loved it. I think Stephanie White is just, she gets it. And I've often heard her described by players as, when I was, covering her with the Connecticut Sun, as a player's coach. Even in our interview that we did with her here on Goodfollow Show, Stephanie White stepped up to have Caitlin's back and say, remember we asked her about Tex and the passion and the fire that Caitlin plays with, and like, how do you measure that? And I thought she gave an answer that understood what it's like to be a passionate point guard. Like, I want you to be yourself, Caitlin, and then I'll help you, fight the battles here. But, I'm also going to hold you accountable when your passion hurts the team. And then here, like, there's a public question about the range and the wildness, perhaps, of her shot selection. And I like, in a public setting in front of the media, Stephanie White having her point guards back and saying, y'all don't ask that question for Stephen Curry. And I think what this kind of like consistent action does, it establishes first respect between coach and guard. And then the next step from that is trust. And that's a big thing. And so, like, remember, they're new together and there's a lot of expectations and a lot of noise. So each of these little moments, I think, matter a lot and add up.
Something that I love is, well, one, your interview made me so excited because the way she spoke about Caitlin was like exactly what I want to hear as like an Iowa fan who has loved Caitlin for so many years now, is that she was able to point out the things that Caitlin needs to be better at. Where it kind of felt like last year, the Fever, it was just such a sticky subject because you're dealing with, probably the player that has the most, definitely the player that has the most eyeballs on them right now. Just such a weird national sensation where to be able to address Caitlin's, downfalls a little bit in such just like a, this is how you get better type of way. Like I kind of missed that last year where we were like, please don't share private text messages at a press conference. Like, can we do something a little bit different here? But it makes me excited. Like, the Fever have just made so many, I think, great changes. And Steph just seems to be like a perfect fit. And she kind of matches Caitlin's energy, which is like a thing you have to do.
Absolutely. And Natasha Howard actually had some comments of her own, completely switching the topic to Natasha now. But she said that she was the one who wanted to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. So what do y'all think about that? Because Caitlin is definitely in the running for this MVP conversation.
Right. The MVP odds are out, and it's coming out of the Fever. It's Caitlin Clark's name that's being discussed as one of the candidates alongside, your Asias, your Fees, your Stewies, and things like that. But I did see this trending on Twitter. I did see this get a lot of attention, Natasha Howard's comments. I thought Natasha Howard's energy was in the right place. I disagree with this being something where people are up in arms about. I think, you want your players wanting to be the best version of themselves. And I do think at the end of her comment, which is not included in the quotes, that trend, she said at the end, I want to be holding the championship trophy. That's the right spirit. That's the right energy. And I'm going to give her grace and the benefit of the doubt that there wasn't anything selfish or self-serving in her comments. What I will say is this. She's 33. Natasha Howard is 33 years old. And I would like my veteran players to be a little bit more immediately self-aware in their role in the mission to get the trophy that she discussed, the championship. The comment itself is lacking in some self-awareness because the year is 2025. Natasha Howard has at best been a defensive player of the year, has been a champion. She's an excellent player. But I don't think it's an insult to say that this Fever team is first and foremost being built around Caitlin Clark. And then I also think that Coach Stephanie White has been adamant about saying her big three, about saying Caitlin, about saying Kelsey Mitchell, about saying Aaliyah Boston. So that's the core. And all of these other super talented vets, Dewana Bonner could be was the star of her last team. But I think, just understanding the role and winning the press conference and the way to talk about it. I'm only worried if Natasha Howard's actions on the court somehow are self-serving or selfish or take away from the greater motion of the team. I think her answer could have been better, but it's nothing that I'm going to hold against her for me.
That feels like a nothing burger to me. I've always never understood this for any sport in any conversation. Wouldn't you always want your athletes to be like, yeah, I'd like to be the best at what I do? Like, isn't that the goal? Isn't that why you're an athlete? Because you want to be the best It just, and when people say that, they're like, "Whoa, I can't believe you want to be the best? That's crazy." That it just like and it's applies to literally every single sport where I'm like, "What are we doing?" Like, of course, I expect everyone to go out there and think that they're the best. I loved what you said about just like kind of having that self-awareness with the fact that especially the Fever are a team that people just they have very interesting reactions to very very unique opinions on that tend to be bad, so you do have to kind of watch what you say with that, but like, oh no, one of your great players says she wants to be great, call the police, what are we doing? It's nothing to me.
Honestly, if I was one of those fans, I'd want every player on the court to go out and want to try to win MVP that season. Like that was my motivation growing up. My dad would always be like, be better than whoever is best on the ice or on the oh my god, what sport, golf course or whatever. So I would really want that motivation behind me. But we also saw the Chicago Sky get a win over Team Brazil, that poor Brazilian team. They won 89-62.
Brazil had to see everybody. They was like, we're gonna see Kayla, we're gonna see Angel in Chicago.
At least they got their autographs from Caitlin. Right, they were saying on the broadcast, like, she still has 2 years to college. I was like, oh, this poor child. But they had a homecoming game at LSU, and Angel Reese is so freaking back, putting up 15 points and 10 rebounds. Now, this is being taped ahead of last night's game against the Lynx, but what did y'all see from Angel Reese and the rest of the team in their first preseason game?
Yeah, see that Angel Reese is picking up where she left off as a double-double machine. You know, there's no days off. Angel Reese dropped a double-double. She went to the Met Gala. She has her birthday party. Like, my girl handles business. She is booked and busy and handles everything at a high level. She had 15 and 10. She was 4 for 7 from the field. What we're watching this season is hopefully increased efficiency on offense from Angel. That's the big, that's the big area of growth and jump we want to see from her. She was 7 for 10 from the free throw line. She only played 17 minutes, guys. That's a lot of work to do in 17 minutes. And one thing about Angel Reese, she is not afraid of work. And I also thought, again, coming back to, Lucy's earlier point about playing at these college spaces, I love the response she got from, the LSU crowd, from Kim Mulkey, not just her, Haley Van Lith, who also had a nice showing of 7 points and 5 assists. But just to wrap here, like my main thing that I thought was important out of a preseason game for Chicago is that both Angel Reese and Camila Cardozo, who are their, big girls and their young players that they're building around this season, look who they're supported by in the starting lineup. Look who their supporting cast is. It's Courtney Vandersloot. It's Kia Nurse. It's Ariel Atkins. These are proven leaders, producers, veterans to support the growth of these players. And as we saw in Unrivaled with Angel Reese when she was teamed up to play with Chelsea Gray, when Angel is teamed up with a very veteran, talented point guard, she really shined and blossomed. And I think that this could be helpful, just the level of veteran presence that's around her.
Something that I was really impressed by was the Sky's offense. Something I read was that this game, they had 29 3 attempts. Did they make most of them? No. They actually missed a good chunk of them. But compared to the fact that they were averaging 15 threes a game last season, which was the lowest in the W, to see them finally take some moves, to have some schematic changes to try to score more points. Obviously, you don't want to go 7 from 29 from 3. That's not ideal. But the fact that you are taking those shots, eventually I know you will make those shots, especially if you add Haley Van Lith into the mix, who I think can shoot really well. It was nice to see a different sort of approach. Obviously, you have a new head coach. Things are changing. But to see the Sky go out there and actively try to score some points, thank you. Thank you.
I actually think that was part of Tyler Marsh's doing because it felt like there was so much more space and the floor was more opened up. But I do want to say that everything I've seen on socials from him has been amazing. And the way that he's backed the teams, even speaking on Angel missing some training camp for all of the festivities that she's going to, he's like, yeah, we're here, we're supporting her. We're so incredibly proud. And she's like paving a way. I absolutely love to see that from a coach. But I also want to shout out Maddie Westbeld because she put on a pretty good show. And I think she has a great chance to make the roster.
Absolutely. There's a lot of new throughout the league, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the course of the season.
But I actually want to go back to Caitlin Clark. DraftKings currently has her listed with the second best odds to win MVP behind Asia Wilson, with Fee, Stewie, and Sabrina rounding out the top 5. And this is a big conversation. I mean, we already kind of dipped into it, but do y'all think Asia will hold on for back-to-back MVP runs and her 4th in total? Or is it Caitlin's time to shine and she's winning MVP in year 2?
Okay, I don't see anything weird about that list. There's nothing weird. It all makes sense. Those seem like the best players on the team that are most likely to be the best, at least coming out at the start of the season. So, you know, the MVP conversation is so weird, whether it's WNBA, NBA, because we need the definition changes. But, you know, my thoughts are, will Caitlin be the player that makes her teammates the best this season? Who is going to be the player that's most valuable to their team? Like, you take them off this roster, what happens to this team? I think Asia, Fee, and Caitlin, you know, all can be discussed in that way. What about defensive dominance on both sides of the ball? Then you've got Asia and Fee kind of leading the way. And actually Stewie too for the Liberty. And I always think Stewie last season, her dominance is quieter than these players because the Liberty end up winning a championship and being the best team in the league. But Stewie wasn't like the loud favorite for MVP, but as someone who was the analyst for the New York Liberty, I see her every game, and like she's willing to do the blue collar work, to make the tough plays, to play the defense, to rebound, to get to the free throw line, to come up with the play when you need it. And so like you've really got to be watching Stewie and watching the Liberty to understand like the Liberty don't do anything without Stewie. And I also think a key for Stewie is like she's got to shoot better from 3 this season. She shot 29% last season, and that was the only thing that was unlike her. You know, she's usually so efficient, and she's and unrivaled. I don't think she shot so well either from the 3-point line. But you know, I was thinking about the MVP conversation too. For Fee's case, I think Fee has the most continuity coming back, and that's a benefit. But the Fever, the Liberty, the Aces all have the shinier talent. So like you ask MVP, there's just so many ways to define it. It's hard. And that's why like it really takes the full body of a season to decide.
That is such a good point, is that there are just no like straight metrics for what we are looking for. So it's really hard to compare everyone to each other when you don't even know what the standard is. However, I will never publicly be like doubting Angel Wilson ever. I'll never do that in a million years. I'll never do it privately. I'll never do it in my life ever. Especially after that, I saw that commercial. I was like, I'll run through a brick wall for you. I'll do whatever. I'm always going to lead with Asia's going to win the MVP. That's how I start every single season, and then let things, you know, lie as they will. With the Caitlin side of things, there are so many new moving pieces with the Fever that I think are going to make her a lot better, but I think they're going to make her less necessary for what the Fever are going to do, where she's not going to necessarily need to be the center point for every single thing that is happening, where I felt like last season that became the case a lot of the time. So I think that Caitlin will get better, but I think that she will get less, you know, prominent within her own team, which is a good thing for the Fever to win. I don't necessarily know if that translates to the MVP race or not, but I'm not going to doubt Asia Wilson. So I'll just publicly say right now, I'm picking Asia Wilson to win MVP. I don't need to see anything else.
You know, there's like the only thing that comes to mind right now is the DSM-5 for some reason, but there's all the different categories and questions, like you circle like 10 or 5. I feel like you almost need that for MVP because again, what defines an MVP? It's all over the place. But y'all, before we take a break, I do want to touch on the Wings real quick. They opened their preseason against the Aces, and despite losing by 34, their rookies were something to really be excited about. Paige Beckers and Azai James put up 10 points. And JJ Quinterly, I swear she was everywhere. She led the team in scoring, putting up 16 points in just 13 minutes. So do you have any quick thoughts on the first look at the Wings rookies this season?
Well, first and foremost, life comes at you fast when you're a WNBA rookie. You go from like maybe 3 weeks ago, you're playing a couple college kids, to now your first WNBA preseason games against the Aces, and the starting lineup's 4 Olympians. Good luck. Woof. But I thought the showing was good. Paige Beckers looked confident. I thought she made the right reads. She's got the right instincts. A defender was on her hip. She went to the bucket, got her first bucket going left. You know, she got left open or found a little bit of light. Quick release, knocked down to 3. Hey, go JJ Quinterly. She looked great. She looked confident with the ball in her hands, off the bounce, getting to the cup, making the right plays. Her defense created a lot of offense. I love the hustle I saw. And for her to have the ball in her hand so much, probably for me, most impressive, 0 turnovers, didn't make a lot of mistakes. The Wings are so deep in guard talent and wing talent. I don't know exactly who stays or goes. So that's the real issue. But these are great opportunities to show what you can do. And I was impressed.
No, I thought James was really great. I thought Paige, it is so funny to see, like, no matter how good you are coming from college to the the physicality is always jarring at first. And you could see that physically it is just a completely different ball game. And I think that's obviously going to take some time to adjust for Paige for every rookie in the league. But like, you have to feel good about this like young core right now. Logan, you put it so perfectly in one of your TikToks about what makes the W preseason so special is that it's like literally the biggest chopping block of all of sports in any sort of like time
The Hunger
period. That's
Games.
pretty. It's no, the Hunger Games is genuinely
May the
perfect.
odds forever be in your favor.
And so it is just wild to think of how much everyone has to show out, how you have to have this game, every game in the preseason to make a roster, which makes the preseason exciting, but it is also devastating to be a fan and to see, and I know we don't have a lot of time left, but for sellers to get cut from the Valkyries before a game, like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
And after having a great showing in a preseason game. So like even having good numbers in these games doesn't mean you're going to stick on the squad. But it is still valuable to get that game look. But it's tough. We're talking about rookies. Let me shout out the rookie that I thought had a great debut that I wasn't surprised about was Sonia Citron with the Washington Mystics. I mean, in general, in basketball, when you're tall, you shoot threes and you play defense, men's or women's, that's a recipe to have a nice career as a role player at minimum in this league. And she's 6'1", shoots a 3 and D. I thought she just made heads up basketball plays in her debut, moving without the ball. And by doing so, getting to the rim, spacing out on the 3-point line and knocking down open threes. She ran her lane to help for pace. She made the extra pass. She crashed the glass. This was just all fundamental, good basketball plays. She looked confident out there. And I think this is another opportunity to shout out Coach Neil Ivey, the Notre Dame women's basketball program, of course, Muffet McGraw as well, because what we're seeing now is a reputation for putting guards and wing players out there that are WNBA and league ready. And so, Sonia Citron had a nice debut. Hey, it's early. Well, she still has to show us the rest of the season, but proven stars, Skylar Diggins, Arika Agumbawale, Marina Mabry, Jewel Lloyd, Kayla McBride. If I'm missing anyone, my bad. But hey, Notre Dame guard play.
Well, coming up, Roz, Lucy, and I will be playing a new game, so we'll be right back, and it is so much fun.
Welcome back to Good Follow, presented by DraftKings. I'm Roz. She's Logan. And hey, Lucy, it has been so nice having you on.
Oh, I'm having the best time. The best time.
Guess what? We have a game to play.
Oh, I love games.
You love games. Okay, great.
I love games.
Okay, because we're playing a new game with you here. We've started a whole brand new thing called Like It, Love It, or Hate It.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
We love the graphics. Our graphics team is incredible here. Here's how it works. So we're going to show you a quote or a social post, and we have to collectively decide, do we like it? Do we love it? Or do we hate it? Okay?
I got it. Most of the time when people explain game rules to me, they do just like, whoa, but this one seems straightforward. It's not a card game. I'll be good.
All right. So we're all on the same page. Logan, what do you got?
Okay, the first one is that Asia Wilson's new A1 sneaker has officially dropped, and the commercial, which was insane, was actually directed by Malia Obama. Another just bomb dropped on us. But apparently the A1 sold out before Nike could even hit tweet to send it out, which is so amazing. But this isn't the first time we've seen a star power linking up with athletes. There's been Caitlin and Taylor, Angel Reese and Lotto, and now Malia and Asia. So how do we feel about these power link ups? Do we like it, love it, or hate it?
Lucy, you're first.
How could you not love it?
Right?
How could you not love it? I hate that we're even having this discussion. It's just like immediate love. The commercial was great on its own. I just thought it was really well done. It felt so like it felt like Asia. And that's what you want when you have these big brand partnerships, for it to really feel authentic. And like Asia has done that with all of her Nike collabs, with her sweatshirts and her shoes, and everything has been amazing. Then we find out that Malia has directed it. I didn't even know till like 3 days later. What do you mean? What do you mean? Powerful women getting together? How can we not love this?
Love, 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 love. I love it. And I love it too, because it signals women's basketball is more than sports. Women's basketball is culture. It's entertainment. You know, Asia and Malia. Don't forget, Asia had Issa Rae as well, rocking her A1 sneaker. I mean, so Asia's just now like established herself as so elevated and like just with the cream of the crop of the girls. You know what I mean? And then for Angel Reese, you mentioned Lotto. There's Angel Reese. Angel Reese was just at the Met Gala. And then link ups, talk about power link up. It was her, Meg the Stallion, and Doechii eating caviar. Y'all saw that video? It's just incredible. And then Caitlin Clark and Taylor Swift, we love to see that collab. But look at Caitlin Clark. The momentum continues. 1.3 million people pulled up to watch a preseason game from her. That was more than game 1 of the WNBA finals last season. So, I mean, it's just really, I love it. What about you, Logan?
Absolutely love it. Yeah, y'all said it best. And I think the intentionality with Asia's commercial was insane. Like, I think the second scene, possibly the girl with the beads in her hair spelling Asia, the second I saw that, I was like, okay, it's over. Like, this is going to be so incredible.
Really quick too, just to follow up on that, like little details like that in the video for Asia with the beads and the Asia and the nods to like just Black life, you know, even with the A1 rollout, we've talked before about the sneaker, but also like the hoodie with the satin lining for hair. The intentionality that Asia's put out there also is really exciting.
With her being a Gamecock, our next one is a fellow Gamecock, actually like the face of the Gamecocks. South Carolina recently unveiled a statue of their coaching legend, Dawn Staley. But she had a bit of a clapback moment to Geno during her acceptance speech, stating, in contrary to the belief of one of my coaching colleagues, her statue, brackets Asia, wasn't in response to winning a national championship. It was a response to being a winner at life, period. So do we like it, love it, or hate it that Dawn took a moment to clap back at Geno?
Once again, how could you not love it? Like, what do you mean? Like, how could you not love it? Like, you have the two greatest in the sport, like, kind of giving each other digs just a few weeks after a national championship game that was a blowout. That was not a great performance for South Carolina. Like, I think like this type of communication, this type of like jarring makes sports fun. Like, doesn't give a shit, like he doesn't care. Dawn is out here living the most insane life in the world. It's something that I really love that she said in this was she was like, I didn't even want a statue. I wanted it to be just Asia. Like, how sick is that? She's just like remarkable. Once again, I love it. I think all this like jarring, it just makes our sport more fun, especially because like UConn and South Carolina will continue for years to be like probably the most fun rivalry outside of conferences in college basketball.
Yeah, I like it. I like it because Coach just made sure you can't just say anything and just have that float out there. She addressed it. She clapped back. She squashed it. Basically, you can't reduce everything that Asia has meant to the school down to, well, we'll give her a statue because she won a championship. Like, that diminishes what that moment means. And that this is really about consistency and the work and the character and the representation of what a leader is and a student athlete is at South Carolina and what Angel represents to so many people. And so like, it's a little diminishing to reduce it just down to, oh, you got a championship, they gave you a statue. So Dawn just quick, just real quick, just said, you're going to be addressed and then move forward.
I love how Dawn stands up for her players too. Every single one. She could probably, I don't know, maybe hate them, but she would still on a public stage stand up for them. And I absolutely love that. And as a player, it must feel so amazing to know that she has your back like that. Mm-hmm. But as for the next one, I think it was Lucy, you mentioned it in the last block. The Golden State Valkyries waived their number 17 pick, Cheyenne Sellers, before their first game. And this was so surprising because, we went through days of training camp, but we didn't get to see her play in a single game. And Indiana Fever also waived forward Jillian Aileen and guard Bree Hall as well. So do we like these roster moves? Do we love them or do we hate them?
This one is another no-brainer. Obviously, we hate this, right? Like, what do you mean we're waiving a player we haven't even seen in game time action? I know the Seller situation is weird because she got drafted a lot later than I thought she would. But so maybe there's something going on there, but like, I'll never understand how it is so easy to cut someone, which I get it. It's the nature of the sport, whatever. But like, so no, you have no sample size. You have no sample size to know you're making the right decision, especially for the Valkyries who are going very international heavy, which is like great. You want an international presence in the W, but you're a new team and you're not going to have people that like fans can attach themselves to because you have no background, no connection from college. And like, I just think it's kind of setting the Valkyries up to fail a little bit in like maybe not winning, I don't know, but like in building a community. This is why sometimes it can be tough for people to transition from the college, fandom to the W, where you're like that's my favorite player. She was amazing. I don't even get to see her in a preseason game. Like it's devastating. It sucks. It's the worst part of the sport.
Yeah, that is a very interesting take. And I too agree. Like, you hate to see it, right? This league, the WNBA is just rough. It's tough from the quick turnaround from college to the WNBA to the lack of spots. And in general, I feel like Sellers has just been through a lot. Remember at the draft, she was misnamed? On the orange carpet, they confused her for Anissa Murrow, which I think is crazy. And then she like had to gracefully handle that, and then she gets cut quickly and picked up quickly. I just think in general for these rookies in the WNBA, like man, resilience is key.
I definitely hated it as well. But another part that stood out to me is that Natalie Nakasi said that she did everything we told her to. It was great, but she's not part of the best 12. And when you look at the roster, it's so hard to stack her up. Like, who would be the better player here? And again, it all boils down to preseason games. We haven't seen her. She hasn't had the chance to prove herself there.
Like, how do you know? How do you know?
And a lot of times what's happening with agents as they're getting these calls that their player is cut, they're looking for a little feedback, something they can share with the player, something that makes sense, something that they can like help them grow with or to the next team. And like that statement makes no sense. It's hard to grasp the right closure or feedback you need to move on for the next step too.
Y'all, this is so much fun, but we have to take a quick break. So coming up, we continue the game, but take a turn to Met Gala fashion. We'll be right back.
The NBA 82 game grind is done. And now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here. And it's time for all the high stakes drama, the clutch moments, and the jaw dropping plays. So if you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, well, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code GOODFOLLOW. That's code GOODFOLLOW for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Lowe's helps refresh your garden in time for Mother's Day. Right now, get 5 bags of 1.5 cubic foot Scott's Naturescapes mulch for just $10. Plus, select 1.5 gallon annuals hanging baskets make the perfect gift. Now 2 for only $15. The best garden starts with great deals. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 5/7. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase.
Welcome back to Good Follow. Today's episode is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Okay, y'all, we are continuing with our game. Like it, love it, or hate it. We were having so much fun, but now we're shifting into Met Gala fashion.
Well, we have to take a look at some of the fashion because it was absolutely insane. I want to go through a few. So, look number one is Jonquil Jones. Do we like this, love it, or hate it?
Love the
I
height,
loved it.
the hair. If you look close, the accessories, the beads, the understanding of theme, the texture in her outfit. Nailed it. Love.
The accessories was what got me. Like, that's how you do this theme. You go subtle and then you go extreme with the accessories. I thought that was well done. I love it.
I'm not gonna lie, the first thing I thought about was how bad is that her scalp? But love it. And there was a really funny picture of Stewie posing and you could just see her hair coming like out the side of it. But no, I'm absolutely obsessed with this. So on to look number two, Sabrina Ionescu. What are your guys' thoughts here?
I like it a lot. I think Sabrina looks beautiful. Again, the Liberty nailed the hairstyling. I think theme consideration, she didn't nail it as hard as like Jonquil and Stewie did, but I like it a lot. Sabrina looks beautiful.
I like it. I agree. Like, the theme, I don't think you hit it on the nail. I wish it's just like, this isn't nice. It's just like, she looks lovely. She looks beautiful. Why are you wearing this to the Met Gala and not anywhere else?
Right.
I'm looking for that extra pizzazz that I'm missing there. So I like it.
There's nothing dandy about it, right? Yeah.
That's the exact same thing I was thinking. I want to see, just in general with fashion, Sabrina kind of step outside of her comfort zone and wear something more flashier, even with, I mean, her fashion seems pretty subtle, but be able to make a mark with it.
I push back.
Ooh.
I think Sabrina is just fine kind of having this girl next door vibe. I'm actually just impressed that Sabrina showed up, looked beautiful, and like held her own. I don't expect her to be a fashion like this flashy girl, you know?
I'm here for it. But rounding out the Liberty, we have Stewie. Okay. Personally, I can't even. When I first saw this, my jaw was on the floor. This is something that was unexpected. I never would have ever expected for Stewie to pop out like this, and I love it.
I love it, and I was surprised. However, for people who weren't paying attention, and maybe I needed to pay more attention, we should have known Stewie could pop out like this. Because if you've noticed, especially in this last season and in Unrivaled, she and her stylist have been really popping out with suit games, pant games. She's got a little boldness to her. And I thought she nailed the theme. She understood the assignment and showed up. I love the swirl of her hair. I love the different layering of clothing and shirts and textures and the way she rocked white. Stewie's one of the winners, I think, of the Met Gala.
Love it so much. When you look at Met Gala outfits, you look for, like, is it on theme and is it fabulous? And she checked both of those boxes. All the details are amazing. The hat, the swirl in the hair is what got me. I thought the hair was really what like sold it for me. This was my favorite like women's athlete outfit of the Met Gala. Because you did what you were supposed to do. People forget that about the Met Gala. Do what they tell you.
Assignment understood.
Well, we've mentioned Angel a few times, but what do we think about her fit at this Met Gala? Do we like it, love it, or hate it?
I love it with one caveat. I thought she looked beautiful. I thought she stuck to the theme. The only caveat is she made me want to cut my hair short. I have seen so many people be like, this look makes me want a bob. I don't need a bob. I don't want a bob, but she makes me want it. I thought this outfit was great. I thought she looked fabulous. I thought it was on theme. I just am like, I don't need that haircut.
I think you would look great in a bob. I actually recently just cut gave myself a haircut and cut bangs.
Not the bang.
You can't see it right now in a ponytail, but yeah. But so for Angel Reese, love. Not only do I think she delivered fashion and an outfit and a moment, she delivered versatility, poise beyond her years. She just turned 23 right after the Met Gala, and she just steps up. I'm always impressed with the way that Angel, in the brightest of lights, in all these different stages, shines.
With the Met Gala, an athlete I actually look forward to seeing every single year is Venus Williams. And this year, I actually loved her look, how she incorporated tennis into it, but also stayed with like the subtle, what's this, forest green? But what do y'all think about it?
I loved it. I thought she looked great. And I also thought Serena had one of her best looks at the Met Gala in recent years. The Williams sisters did well. I like it.
I liked it. I felt like this might be too on the nose for the theme. Wish it was tailored a little bit better. Wish it was just like a
Oh.
little more fitting, where you can
Mhm.
just. It's not like I love that
Mhm.
it's so. That's my thing with the Met Gala. If you just try, I'm gonna be like chill with it. Like I'm gonna be
Mhm.
happy about it. But I just wish that it was a little more well fitting. Sometimes it like without the coat would have been crazy casual. But I
Mhm.
like that she took something that was her and then made it into her outfit.
Mhm.
Now, what do y'all think about Sha'Carri Richardson's fit here? I'm very curious to hear your thoughts because I have my own and I feel like they're similar.
Lucy?
Not my favorite.
Yeah.
Not my favorite. Like I don't know what it is about it. It just like there's so much going on, but it doesn't tell a story. Like
Mm.
gosh, I feel so pretentious saying that, but like there's it just like I don't
Like,
see like
who
I
are
don't get
we?
it.
So much going on. There's no story. Like literally,
And
we're in
I know if I went to the
sweatshirts.
Met Gala, I'd be the worst looking person there. And she's fabulous, and like she got invited, and I'll never get invited. But
Right.
it just like I don't see how it fits the theme. Like I just don't love it. I wish there was a better answer, but I don't like the ties in the front. I don't know.
Yeah. First of all, she looks beautiful, so full stop.
Yes.
But I think there's a styling. I'm not in love with the styling, so I'm gonna keep her in like it. I'm certainly not in love it territory. I certainly don't hate it, but she's in like yeah,
Like the
because the
arm.
styling, the bows, the makeup. I'm not in love with the makeup, but there's potential there. I think she could have smashed the theme in different ways. So of the names we just listed and the pictures we just showed, probably one of my not my favorite.
I have
She
to
looks
agree.
beautiful though.
Yeah, oh my gosh, beautiful. I just feel like I need an article about who dressed her, why they dressed her in this, and what was the history behind it. Was it an homage to someone, something, somewhere?
Logan, you trying to have an out? You want to out somebody for this fit? Like that's crazy. Logan was like, "Who did
No,
this?"
because who wore her? Who wore her? Who designed her? Who put this together? I want to know.
Yeah, let's be very clear that the three of us combined haven't accomplished half of what Sha'Carri has ever done. But
I
that's
could
what the
never
Met Gala is
afford that
about.
dress. We could not combined all together afford what she wears. So like it's
But this
who
is the
cares
fun
what we
part
think?
of the Met Gala for sure. And I thought the sports girlies did their thing.
Yes, and the last athlete we have is Gabby Thomas. Do we like it, love it, or hate it?
Love. She's giving old school glam. She looks beautiful. For me, I love the beading. I love the geometry of it, the silhouette. The red is striking. I love the styling alongside it, the way she did her hair, the way she did her makeup. We've never seen her this way. That's something that stands out to me too. The people who are able to like pop out of their usual box. And I thought Gabby did that. I loved what she did here.
I liked it. I won't say I loved it just because sometimes, like, I don't know if I loved like the midriff area. I think that could have been, I think if it were all one piece, I would have liked it a little bit more. But I love when people take bold risks with like the weird,
Mhm.
shape of what they're wearing. And she did that. And I think what was done really well about it is combining the crazy shape of her dress with very simple look, very simple makeup look, very beautiful hair, but it's all very elegant. So I think she did a pretty good job.
I completely agree. My only note, and this is going to sound probably very bad, but I want to know what fabric the dress is made out of because the bottom part, it starts to look a bit, dare I say, cheap. I don't think it is. It's probably worth more than my whole entire life, but it kind of looks that way.
I don't disagree.
Well, Lucy, we want to thank you so much for joining us. That was so much fun. And y'all, you can catch her on the Dan Le Batard Show on the DraftKings Network or wherever else you get your podcast. Next up, I make my DK game pick of the week, and we have some quick hits for you. So I'll be right back. Welcome back to Good Follow. This segment is presented by DraftKings. This Friday night, two teams with very different storylines meet under the lights as Racing Louisville hosts Gotham FC. I've got my eyes on Racing's Emma Sears and Gotham's Esther Gonzalez. Gonzalez went crazy in April, scoring 7 goals across 4 matches to tie the NWSL record for most goals in a 4-game span. And on the other side, Emma Sears has had a great start to the year with 4 goals so far. Racing Louisville will be without forward star Ari Borres, who was serving a 3-match ban for pushing a ref. But Gotham has solid defense, having conceded only 20 goals in the 2024 regular season, and that is the fewest in club history. Considering Gotham's offensive firepower, defensive solidarity, and strategic leadership, I think they're going to walk away with the W. This segment is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
The crown is yours, Logan, and it's your time to take us through quick hits and headlines.
Let's do it. All right, the first one is that the PWHL is expanding to Seattle, and they will be the first city to home 3 pro women's sports teams, the WNBA, NWSL, and PWHL. We absolutely love to see it. Seattle, I wasn't familiar with your game over here.
Unfamiliar.
And, yeah,
familiar.
right?
Familiar now, though.
I wouldn't even take them as a sports city, but go Seattle. Next up, we have Naomi Osaka won a WTA 125 event, and this is her first title in 4 years. And since having her baby, we absolutely love to see it. And with that, she is rising back up to 48 in the world rankings. We hope to see her get higher soon.
Love to see it.
Actually, going back to NWSL, KK Ream is the youngest player to start in an NWSL game, making her start last weekend at just 15 years and 9 months old. I don't know what you were doing at 15, but I certainly wasn't anywhere close to doing something like that. No. And lastly, we have TCU winning their first beach volleyball title. And the NCAA Beach Volleyball Championship was established in 2016, and USC has won 6 of them. UCLA won 2. So they were the only 2 winners, and TCU just came in and became the 3rd team to win the title. So congratulations, Horned Frogs.
Yeah, beach volleyball is giving California sunshine. Go ahead, Texas, popping in on that, taking away some of the monopoly on the dominance in beach volleyball, which is so fun, by the way, if you haven't been to a beach volleyball game. And you know what, Logan? That's going to do it for our show this week. Ugh, time flies when you're having fun. And it was a lot of fun with having Lucy Rohden on. She was
absolutely
awesome.
Love her.
Right? Awesome to have her as a guest. We'll definitely have to have her back. We want to thank all of you for rocking with us and watching and spreading the word and subscribing and following our show socials and YouTube and all the things. We're building this from the ground up, and you guys are a really big part of that. So we're building a community here. Thank you for your feedback and just engaging with one another. Good Follow is brought to you by DraftKings, and we drop every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on DraftKings Network, YouTube, or wherever else you get your podcasts. So I'm Roz, she's Logan, and we're out. We'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.